Alrighty, guys. Looks like we are live. I think I've got my mic off of mute. I'm gonna jump over here. Everything looks good. I'm gonna do a quick screen share with the browser window. We're running coaching. That way, when we get the recording for these, we'll actually be able to keep track of the questions as well as my audio for the recording. So. Alrighty, guys. Looks like here we go. Quick sound check. Everything looks good. So, let's see what we got on here. Looks like a good crew already turning out. Luke, Brian, Jay. Awesome, awesome. All right. So we've got some people that jumped in kind of early bird bonus sessions for Project J, standing for Juggernaut. Let me know kind of who is on today, if you can, if you don't mind. Let me know whether you're jumping on now or if you are someone that's been with us for a little bit leading up to this. It'll give me kind of an indication of where everybody is, if you're kind of just joining us and still getting oriented, or if you are kind of familiar with the material and are still getting it put into place and you've got some kind of tweaking and fine-tuning stuff to go through. So based on that, we'll kind of take things from there. Otherwise, just a quick rundown, I guess, on the way I run kind of the coaching office hours sessions that I handle. Pretty much anything is fair here. I handle all the technical SEO questions. I am certainly not trying to portray myself as near a SEO master as Greg is. He definitely is the creator of most all of our SEO material, and I get my information from him. But I do go through everything that he's created, and I'm able to handle technical questions as far as SEO goes. I also handle a lot of client getting things, planning your day, niches to go after, affiliate, CPA, local client consulting, paper leads, pretty much anything. So Greg's office hours are typically very much hardcore SEO. Mike's are really tailored around more presentation style, but very focused on money getting and mindset, law of implication stuff. And mine are pretty much Q&A, everything that we can do to make sure that you are successful with the material that we have. So with that being said, I'm going to jump over and see what we've got here as far as folks today. Yeah, we got Luke. I knew you were on, and Mike, 2 months in. Ted, yeah, you've been in since February. Jim, thought I'd listen today. I just want to say thank you for all the tremendous work you've been doing for the OMG family. Awesome, Jim. Thank you. I assume it might be Jim Utzinger, but I could be wrong. Brian, been with you for a while. Have a pretty good understanding of how it all works, and I'm in the full implementation mode. Cool, cool. And then Steve is a 3-month project extra. Cool. All right, guys. Well, what questions do we have for today, or what are people currently working on that maybe some dialogue or a different perspective would help on? Typically, we can. What we find most of the time in these sessions that I run is that usually about 45 minutes, an hour worth of kind of Q&A, and then depending on the day, I kind of take the lead on kind of over-the-shoulder style, either research or putting things together, you know, whether it's a WordPress question or an expired domains question, or looking at competition or markets or niches or keyword research or something like that. So that's typically what we do, but that doesn't mean that we can't break from tradition. Oh, Mary's on. Awesome, finally made it. And Michael, just stopping by. Cool, cool. Yeah, Paul's on again. Cool. Good to see. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to jump over. You won't see it. I'm going to check my email and my Facebook messages just to make sure that if anybody is new to our group, sometimes they reach out in interesting places to figure out how to log in. But looks like everybody's in good shape. All right, Brian, quick one. Does Project X Sniper work on a Mac through crossover, or do you need VM Fusion? I've only installed that on VM Fusion or I've got a dedicated server that I run a lot of my PC software on, Brian. So I've not tried it with crossover. Um, I have installed it on VM Fusion and it works fine that way. But most all the I tend to not open up VM Fusion that much. I run almost all my PC software on a dedicated server and just leave it that way, so that can handle all of my PC software duties. All right. All right, Luke B, how are you managing client expectations with a longer time frame need for PBN links, GSA work to kick in? Great question, Luke. So, as you may or may not know, kind of a recap on what I typically do on my monetization for local client consulting. That's really where a lot of my money comes from. Most of the monetization for that I handle through pay per lead. So I don't charge people monthly. I don't, have any kind of long-term contracts or anything like that. The way I set my contracts up is they pay me for a block of leads, and when those leads are used up, essentially when they've collected them all, I rebill them, and we continue the relationship that way. So the billing cycle winds up being dependent upon how many leads get generated how quickly. So what that typically does for me is it lengthens the time between, whenever we get the agreement struck and the second time that I auto bill. What I still do and what is still working, it does take longer for these links to kick in. It's something that I've noticed really through most of the second quarter of this year, but that doesn't mean it takes longer to rank. And so there's a little bit of discrepancy there. What I mean is that you can still dig around and find keywords that you have very, very low or no competition for, that you will be able to rank for much, much more quickly, because you will rank almost by default without the need for links. So as soon as you can get Google to kind of crawl your site, find that page and get you indexed, it will really kind of compare you against the competition, find that there's very little or no competition for that keyword, and you'll wind up with, kind of default rankings. The example that I put together for spinal decompression Phoenix is an example exactly like that. It is a high-value keyword. There are no links to that site. I've built sites and pages very similar to that recently, and they do continue to rank within a month for the keywords that I'm going after. So what I would do in situations like that is do some more extra keyword research on the back end for you. Whether you disclose that to the client or not is your decision, but by finding those keywords with very little competition, they're still out there, they just take some digging. You can get quick rankings, quick traffic, get their phones ringing, I guess, regardless of whether you're doing pay-per-lead or monthly, and kind of keep everybody on the right track. But I would be very upfront. Managing client expectations is something that I have found out many times the hard way through businesses previous to what I've done with OMG machines, that it keeps everybody happier. You may not close as many deals, but the deals you close will be solid, and everybody will be in a situation where moving forward you'll be in a better position. So that's kind of what I would do in terms of that, regardless of whether it's videos, your website, or whatever it might be. All right, go back here. Oh, Luke B, how are you ranking videos in terms of linking at the moment? Still using GSA, Luke, following recommendations from Jimmy and that come through Greg as well. But yeah, they take a little longer to kick in. I noticed something that Abby posted the other day about some, I don't know, reverse SEO or whatever you want to call it, getting channels banned and all that kind of thing. I really haven't encountered anything like that, but I still use GSA and follow the anchor text percentages and relatively good PR of the sites and pages that I'm posting to, and it seems to be working just fine still. Just takes longer to figure out whether they're working or not. The feedback loop is a lot longer than it used to be. Dan, I'm having trouble getting a local site for auto repair to move to page 1. They were nowhere. Now I've got them to page 2 in 2 spots. YouTube video on page 1. I've hit it with 6 PBN links, but not helping. How do I evaluate how to move forward? Obviously need to get to page 1. Yeah, Dan, I've actually got a couple auto repair sites for specific auto manufacturers and or models. So I'm a little familiar with the niche, but it doesn't matter, really. What matters is being better than competition and giving yourself enough time and patience so that you don't continue to react to Google when you don't need to. So depending on, I guess, the velocity of the links you put in place and how much time you've given them, what I've been noticing is that with PBN links, I typically will see movement within a week, usually 5 days, 6 days, something like that, but not a lot. It's kind of like an initial little teaser, and then most of the movement that I get out of those PBN links are 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road. So you may just need to give it a little more time depending on your scale there, time frame. Aside from that, one of the things I really like to do is incorporate social. So Social Explosion's a plugin that Network Empire folks offer. I think it may be closed at the moment, but you can still incorporate that yourself. You can just set up a tweet, a Twitter account, a Google Plus page, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and get some social activity, essentially a link from a social platform coming to the site. That usually will get Google to kind of acknowledge the links and your kind of SEO dominance a little more quickly than if you do not have that social activity. That's something that I've done kind of from day one, and it's really put me in good position. I haven't had any problems with any of the updates or anything like that. Ken, for lead gen, do you charge a client for every call that is received by the call tracking number? I usually set up some parameters, Ken. I do record all my calls. All the states that I work in allow recording. I disclose that as a, when somebody's making a call, the message that they receive before the call's connected is that this call will be recorded for quality assurance, and then the call's connected. So by keeping track of those recordings, we can always go back and make sure that the billing that we are sending out is accurate and that it fits with, because when you set up a website, if you guys are not, familiar with how it works, your clients will get solicitations based on your websites. Someone will find your site and say, oh, hey, look, this business does, air conditioning repair or whatever it might be. I'm going to give them a call and see if they want to buy pay-per-click from me. Or I'm going to call them and see if they want me to supply them with new air filters or whatever it might be. So you're going to get some solicitation calls that come through on that call tracking number. So it's a good idea to figure out a way to keep track of that. You'll usually kind of settle into it's around 75% of the calls turn out to be pretty good most of the time. But recording those lets you go back and check. So usually the first couple billing cycles, we'll record them all. I'll go through them all, make sure that they're quality or what percentage is quality, and then after that we just kind of leave it as is. Any of my clients who have a particular billing session that doesn't seem to fit with what they got can always give me a call or an email and say, hey, we got billed for 20 leads and at least 10 of them were solicitations. Would you go have a look and see what adjustments you can make? And then I adjust and usually credit them back with those leads that were solicitors. So that's how I handle that. Jay, could you share a sanitized contract that you use for pay-per lead? Thanks. Yeah, Jay, I'd be more than happy to. I think I may have that already in the OMG membership, the Facebook group. Let me have a look here. If you guys don't know, when you're on the OMG Facebook page here, you can click over on Files, and there's some resources here that all of anybody can post here. So some of the old webinars actually got posted, some of the Q&A from them. I would have to look through to see where my contract is, if it's in here. This Denver plumber keyword strategy, that was mine. Would have been around there, I think. I'm not seeing one in here right now. Yeah, I'll go through and clean one up, take the client information out of it, but it's really simple and straightforward. It's essentially that X company agrees to pay me X number of dollars per lead, billed at such and such a time frame. This is how it happens. I'll clean it up though and put that out to the group and make a notification in the Facebook group for you on that. Shouldn't be a problem at all. But I usually try to keep my contracts pretty simple and straightforward. I mean, I'm certainly not a lawyer and don't pretend to be one, but I have a feeling that if somebody really needed to get around a contract, they could. So I usually try to just, hey, if two reasonable people looked at this is what seems to be the case, and leave it at that. But I'll get that posted for you. Mary at J, I have one I borrowed from someone else. Yeah, you're welcome to it. Send me your email. Oh, cool, Mary. Thank you. Brian, thanks. Do you do most of your lead generation with videos or sites? Both, Brian. Depending on the niche, I have a couple different strategies for what I try to do with my videos. So if the experience that we all have with OMG is going to be different. My experience with the videos is I first and foremost went through and figured out how to rank things. And once I figured out how to rank them, then I kind of moved on to like click-through rate, so I worked on my title tags and really tried to get more catchy headlines. And then after that, looked at conversion. Now, conversion can mean a lot of things. It can be applied to a lot of things. It doesn't always mean that somebody needs to pick up the phone and call you. So a lot of my videos, I don't really want people to call me off of those directly. I just try to get their attention, give them good information, and get them to click over to my website. So I use websites and videos in combination. Some of the niches I'm in, especially emergency, I always try to get the lead from the video directly. But for things that people like to kind of shop around a little bit more and get a better feel for who they're calling, I try to get them on a website. The video is great as an introduction. A lot of times I'll put myself on those videos, so it's a live person that actually knows what's going on. But depending on the niche you're in and the strategy you want to employ, you can do a couple different things with what you're trying to convert there, depending on whether you're on your video or your site. And then also whether you're trying to build a list. So that's one of the things that I've been trying to do recently as well. I'm not trying to do, I have been doing. And figuring out the best combination for that call to action. Like, what do you want the person to do now? You need to be very explicit and clear on, okay, this sounds good, now what? Do I try to look you up in the phone book, or do I call the number at the top of the screen, or do I push this button and talk to a live operator, or what is it? So be very clear and simple in the call to action on those, and you'll have the most success. But Mike, and then also David, the law of implication stuff that David has on conversion is absolutely incredible. So depending on where you are with SEO and figuring out online marketing in general and what you want to do with it, those videos from Mike on conversion and the videos from law of implication on conversion are exquisite. And after you go through those, I would imagine you'll see kind of some ways you can shift your videos and website to fit together and to work together to accomplish the best outcome for you. Okay. Luke B, from my experience with GSA, do you have any tips? Oh, from my experience with GSA, do you have any tips on how you can build a list of verified submitted URLs as quickly as possible? I've got multiple instances of GScraper running, so I pull as many. You're gonna lose a lot when you pare your list down from your potential targets to the ones that actually have a PR of 1 or better. You're probably going to lose, 9 out of 10 of your potential placements of those links. So getting that scraped list with a verified PR as high as possible is advisable. So you can buy lists. I know a couple people in the group that buy lists from GScraper and then kind of run them through their GSA and only keep the verified, of course, because that's the places where you're actually getting links that they get placed, and you can go back and verify them. But I've actually got multiple instances of Gscraper running to get that number as high as possible. I found that to be the best really solution for doing that, because the bigger and better that list is, the more success you can have with it, Luke. All right, Dan, I've got Explosion on. Okay, so Social Explosion's running, now posting it every 3 days to try to push that. Been helping them for 60 days. Okay, let me think here what else I would maybe try to throw at it. The other thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, but it fits with everything we do. I mean, it's just that we don't have any videos that specifically talk about it, is the trust, really, and the power of the links that we place in our description area on a YouTube video. They're no follow, but that really, don't throw them out, because of their no follow. I've actually ranked several pages on websites that only had description videos that are no follow from YouTube. So if you have videos available, I would make sure that you got good description links pointing back to the page that you want to rank. And if you do not have videos, or you can throw some more videos at it, whether you get some kind of junky Fiverr videos, because what you're really trying to do is to get the link from YouTube, as opposed to trying to get the best video out there. You can still rank it, you can run GSA to it, get traffic on it, but you also want to get that link to get your website ranked as well. So you can rank a video even for something that's not the exact keyword you're going after. If you're not going to put a great video together, I would actually suggest doing that, because the last thing you want to do is to put some stupid video up there and wind up ranking at #1, and then have to figure out a way for your site to overtake YouTube. So put together a couple videos, maybe 3 or 4 videos that are related in topic or nature, and get some YouTube description links going back to your website, and then run some Fiverr gigs to the YouTube. You can probably get that whole thing done for $30-40, and that should put you in pretty good shape. Those links from YouTube too, because they are Google. Google, likes their own stuff, as well they should. So that's what I would do in addition to what you've already got going on. It sounds like you're doing everything right. You just may be a time thing. The other thing you might want to look at a little bit is how trusted and how much domain authority the car repair sites above you have. Most of the niches I'm in, they're not all that great, but have a look at it. It may be a situation where you want to incorporate vCracken or something like that to get some more, to get a larger site, to get your domain authority built up a little bit on the site you're trying to rank. Dan, what service do you use for call recording coming from a lead gen page? Yeah, Dan, I have used and continue to use. I'm kind of moving away from CallFire a little bit. It's the simplest to set up. It's actually, I think it's free. You have to buy the numbers and pay for the minutes that you use. But there's a feature in there that does not cost any additional money that will record your calls if you choose to do that. You can put whispers on it, you can put outgoing messages on it, all that kind of thing. It's just a free feature that's offered from CallFire. Analytic call tracking will also let you do that. They will each have kind of auto voices that you can have say whatever you want them to say, or you can record your own. So analytic call tracking, which is a software that handles all the call forwarding, it actually is based on a platform called Twilio. Twilio is the actual service that does that you have to buy the numbers through. Analytic call tracking and Twilio work hand in hand. And then CallFire is just a standalone platform. So those both work. And then a follow-up from Michael, same question. And then Ken, thanks. What's a good price per lead to charge for martial arts schools? Ooh, I don't know. I can find out for you though. I've got actually my CPA owns a martial arts studio, and I can, if you want me to, ask him what his average customer value, the average value of a customer is, and then kind of back into it from there. But the methodology that I use typically when I go in there is to figure out, you can kind of arrive at the price a couple different ways. One of them is starting with paper lead and figuring out what people will charge, what Google charges to get somebody on your site, and then work through conversion percentage, the stuff that I outlined in the 60-day Day Job Killer series of videos that I put together. The other one is to kind of come into it from the side that I initially started with describing there, which is, hang on a second. Got to get a drink of water. To come at it from the customer value standpoint and figure out kind of what the average value of a customer is, and then make sure that the marketing cost that your client is going to have to pay you to get that value is going to be worth it for them, which I usually try to keep it around 5% of the overall value of the customer. So, you know, I don't know what it costs to become a martial artist, you know, student. I would assume it's somewhere around $80, and maybe the average customer stays with them for 6 months, which would be, what 6 times 8 is, what, 480? $480. 5% of that would be like $20, maybe. I think that would be pretty reasonable. But that, you know, is just based on numbers I'm kind of pulling out of my head, so that can be a little bit off there, Ken. James Bruce just wanted to know if your Mary might let me in on sample contract. Oh yeah, I'm more than happy to. I don't have it on the machine that I'm running this office hours on though. My other machine handles all my kind of invoicing and stuff. Near the end, I might be able to jump over on it and email myself and figure out a way to post it or tell you guys where I'm going to post it. That might be the easiest thing to do. Ted, hi Fletch. So, do I have this right? If you identify a new niche for lead gen, whoops, where'd that go? Oh yeah, here it is. If you identify a new niche for lead gen, do you know the client before you build the site, or build the site and then seek out a potential client once the site has traffic? Most of the time, Ted, I get the client lined out before I build the site. Where I am currently is the niche that I'm in, I kind of stay with. It's construction stuff. That's no secret at all. And most everything I do is in construction. I've got some things in travel and tourism as well, which I have a lot of experience with in kind of previous jobs and businesses that I had. But more often than not, I'll get a client lined up before I build a site for them specifically, because as far as the client is concerned, when I have my discussion with them, whatever you want to call it, it's a sales call, or it really comes down to a discussion. It's figuring out whether the solution I have fits the problem that they have. I don't talk about SEO. I rarely talk about websites. I really talk about, hey, what's a good solution to get more great customers in your door? You know, what's the price there? How do they come in? Is a phone call the best way? Is an email the best way? You know, how's your sales process work? What's that all about? I really ask a lot of questions to see whether or not the solution I have is the right one. And if it is, then when I build the site out, I know kind of to begin with, all I'm trying to do is to get somebody to fill out a form and hit submit. Or I've got to figure out kind of a process of getting somebody to pick the phone up and call. Most of the time that doesn't require a lot of thought, but just going in that way, you're armed better, you know, for the kind of site you want to build, to understand what you want to do maybe with videos or social platforms and all that kind of thing. So more often than not, I have the client line out before I build the site. Paul O, is there any word on when Social Explosion will reopen? No idea, Paul. Yeah, that's Network Empire stuff, so you have to reach out to either Russell or their customer support and figure that out. Yeah, back and forth with Mary and James on those contract things. Jay, I'm Mary. She's so kind. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's why I love OMG. Yeah, it's a great place, Jay. I agree with you. Mary's got an email there for you. All right, Luke V, are you still sourcing PBNs via Register Compass, expired domains? Are there other avenues? Prices seem to be inflating by the month. Yeah, they do. They do keep going up, Luke. But yeah, I still use Register Compass for everything. I poke over on expired domains every once in a while, but actually most of the time I do that is to help answer questions for OMGers more than for me to go find my own PBNs. One of the other things I've done a little bit and had a couple pieces of luck with is I poked around other SEOs, that aren't OMGers that are doing whatever they're doing, who have what they refer to as a PBN. And they essentially, it's a bunch of sites, domains, and they're selling them because they don't know how to make money with them, or they think SEO is too hard, or whatever it might be. So I would kind of keep your finger on that pulse too. Forums and places like that are a decent place to look. But honestly, you're probably going to spend more time doing that than it's going to be worth for you. Register Compass is still a great place to get them. The prices are going up, but it's because they're still worth it. They're undervalued for what we can do with them. That's the reason the prices are still rising. They'll eventually, level out or equalize when either the demand for them or the value for them reaches what their prices are. All right, Brian, awesome. Dan, great idea on the YouTube idea. Oh, great. Yeah, give that a shot, Dan. I'd love to hear how it works for you. But yeah, that's something I do a lot, not maybe specifically to answer the question you have, but it worked great. Mary, 2 questions. Do you know what is happening with Social Explosion? I bought it and haven't been able to use it because they pulled the uses. Second question, can you talk about LSI? I saw where Network Empire has been plug-in for TLKT, but I'm not sure how it fits in with everything. I'd have to go check on both of those, Mary. I wish I had an answer for you, but that stuff is kind of Network Empire, and I'm a member over there. I love their stuff, but I certainly don't have any real insight or information from any of their things. What you're talking about, the uses is, even if you have the plug-in to be able to get the subscriptions, they have to have enough kind of platform there to make that work. And I think they had a lot of demand, and they're kind of scaling up on the back end to fit that. I don't know their time frame for it, though. I can talk all you want about LSI, but I do not know how the plugin for TLKT works with that. LSI, for anybody who does not know, stands for Latent Semantic Index. They are synonyms or very closely related terms to your main keyword that give you variability in your anchor text or on-page percentage. Also potentially gives you some shoulder markets that you can rank and get traffic from. TLKT stands for the last keyword tool. That's their keyword research platform. But I don't know how that works yet, Mary. I haven't been over on Network Empire's platform for a month or so I need to go check that out. But sorry about that. James Bruce, what do you do when designing a website and the client asks for a specific theme or unique one when I can only offer different Genesis skins at this time? What I do is just ask why. Not in a weird, confrontational way or anything like that, but you can actually make Genesis dynamic look like anything there is with enough work. Now, I don't know whether you've got the technical aptitude to do web design on dynamic. I've done it a few times. It's certainly not the most time-efficient thing, but in a situation like that, depending on the theme they want to use, their theme might be fine. It might cost $20 or whatever like that. I just buy it if they're paying customer. Just work it into your price or your bid, or recoup it somewhere else. But if it's a theme that they just like the look of, or they think would work well with what they want to do conversion-wise, it's possible that some of these themes don't have the greatest code, and they can kind of be buggy, especially when used in conjunction with some of the other things that we like to do, some of the plugins that we like to use. So I would just get a little more information on that, James, and say that really what you offer is SEO, and some themes work fine with SEO, some don't. And to figure out what the best solution for them is going to be, you need to know more about why they need it, why they want it, and what they hope to do with it. and then figure out whether or not that works best with what you want to do with SEO and what you need to do for their site. So again, I don't do a lot of this. I did at the beginning. You know, I took on clients for web design, for local SEO clients, and I still do. But I tend to really gravitate toward being able to build my own site, make it look the way I want it to look, and just generate phone calls with it. So the upfront money's not as good as it is to set up a local client, though. So I am continuing to open up and be very agreeable to local clients that want specific stuff done. But I just kind of working into the price. All right, Omar, hey Fletch, got any tips on how to convert pay-per-lead better on an affiliate, or how to convert people better on an affiliate site that ranks for how to keyword? Right now I have 2,000 words giving tips to solve problems, and then try to position my product as a shortcut to solving a problem. Get lots of traffic, but conversions are not that great. Yeah, so you actually used an amazing term here, Omar, that a lot of people overlook. So right now, I have yet to find something that is not available for free on the internet. Like, quite frankly, if you want to know how to build a computer with starting only with a knife, you can probably find, poke around long enough and put enough pieces of information together to use that tool to go out and build the next tool and the next tool until you get a situation where you can actually build a computer. But it would take you a ridiculous amount of time to do it. And for situations like how to do something, if somebody wants to do it themselves, a lot of times people look at the internet as a place to go for free so that they can then save money by doing something themselves. So if I'm kind of getting the impression of what you're asking here, your question's along those lines. What I've found to be the best situation when doing that is to give them a few steps, which they can find on your site, they can find on other sites. But we're going to get first crack at them because we're better at SEO. And then go on to say, now there are also some more steps that you need to do to make sure the process or the, whatever you're building or fixing goes right. Now, while I'd love to be able to, give it to you for free or whatever, it's just not the way things work. And quite frankly, I've spent a lot of time and effort compiling all this information. And you can talk about the number of hours it takes. I've got some stuff in like renewable energy and alternative energy that I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in technical training and research putting together. I mean, some of the free reports that I give out for people that are opting into my list on some of my home improvement things, to get that information would cost a normal person, $25,000 and 10 years of experience. And to be able to charge some money for that expert information, in addition to the amount of time that they save, is really what you want to kind of position yourself as. And the other thing I'll talk and kind of comment on is, and you're already on it, is the fact that we all need to understand that each player in the game needs to have value, and they need to be compensated for their value. So, this visitor that's coming to your website has to understand that websites aren't just out there for free. They understand that inherently. And what you want to do is be able to save them time and get them to their solution better, so that next time they got a problem, they'll come back to you. And so I'd really talk about the shortcut, the amount of time and frustration that you will save them by making that next step. Now, if you're already doing that really well, and this is for you and whoever else might be listening, and it's still not working great for your click-throughs or your conversion rate, I would look at trying to get a different conversion out of them. Get them on a list that you can talk to them longer term about. Get them on a video where you show them a couple of the steps, or you get somebody to show them a couple of the steps that they need to take, or something along those lines, or potentially just maybe change the offer you're promoting. But those are all things you can look at to up really the amount of money that you can get for the traffic that you have, and the only way to do that is to help the person better. And so you're already on it with as far as looking at it as a shortcut and saving the person time and frustration. That's usually the best way to really focusing on this is usually the best way to convert people looking for how-to information. So the other thing you can do, this might be a little counterintuitive, but it might not be, is don't give them any information. Just give them 2,000 words of whatever, talking about the problem, or if they've got these issues, or if they've wondered if doing these things would take them further away from their goal. Just say, hey, the way to do all of this is just to buy this product. It's kind of a situation where if you give them some information for free, they might expect all the information for free, or they might start expecting there to be other free information. They can just put these pieces together in 5 minutes, and they don't have to pay for anything. So that's the other side, is to kind of make sure you get into that person's mind and think about, well, why would they not buy this now? What are they thinking when they say, no, I'm gonna click off, or I'm gonna go search somewhere else? Is it because they think they can find the information free somewhere else? And if that's the case, then talk about that more explicitly. The reason that somebody else might give you free information is because it's going to wind up costing you more in the long term, and they're probably selling a solution to the problem that they're going to cause by selling you bad information in the first place, or giving it to you. So that was kind of a roundabout, circuitous answer, but hopefully there's some pieces of that jumped out and make sense to you, Omar. Jay, how extensive do you get into the website build-out, i.e. large brand, authoritative site? How many pages do you build? Do you allow the client to take more of an active role in design, build-out, etc.? So it depends, Jay. I tend to kind of like to work with companies that are in startup mode, that want to look to me for more of, hey, can you handle our online stuff? Which gives me a lot more leeway. I still need information from them. I need material from them. I need resources, graphics and logos and emblems and all that kind of thing. But it really lets me just say, all right, now let me figure out what their customer wants, and let me get this website built according to that. So I tend to actually pick my customers based on the kind of build out that I like. And it's based on the fact that I've done a lot of consulting types of jobs in my past, and certain clients will just never be happy, and they will continue to want changes and things like that. And you've got to be able to say, this is what's going to happen. I'll let you pick these options, and then we're going to build it. And then if you want more changes, we'll give you 2 changes, and then after that, we have an hourly rate or something like that. I would make sure that's, again, client expectations. Going in, just make sure that everybody understands kind of this is how it's going to work from here on out. You may be very happy with going back and forth and that type of thing. But for me, I tend to just like to get stuff built and out there, and then kind of move on to the next project, or continue to do the SEO or whatever it might be. Okay, Omar, for local biz clients, I'm going to rank and rent sites. But my city is small and has a lot of keywords, shows zeros monthly searches, but I know there's searches behind them because Google suggests. How would you pitch and price keywords like these when talking to potential renters? Shoot, that's a good question, Omar. You're right about the assumption as far as zero searches go. That I've got a lot of sites that are built on keywords that show zero searches in the keyword tool when I was using it, and those sites get quite a bit of traffic actually. What I might do is just to kind of come in and just flat rate it. If you've got 3 hours and $200 worth of resources, in the deal, maybe you price that at $500. That's your cost, and just say, hey, we rent this site $1,000 first month, $800 every month with a 6-month contract, and then after that we go month to month to make sure you recoup your costs, and you just kind of flat rate it. and have it not be based on anything keyword-wise. You know, you want them to be successful, and that's why I would kind of tend to be a little more open with that. But you've got to really be able to pick your battles in that way. So a lot of times I like working with clients and figuring out what works for them and just saying, hey, we can do this time and materials kind of thing. And for things like that, I would approach it that way. Just say, this is what it's going to cost me to do this, so this is what I'm going to charge you to do it. And you can kind of get away from the number of searches and everything that way. Because if nothing else, that business then gets a great, you know, business card, calling card that they can say, oh, hey, go Google this. We're the #1 for it. That's why you should get your gutters repaired in Sedalia, Missouri by such and such company or whatever. And Jay, do you use the last keyword tool? If so, what's your experience been? What tools do you use to find SEO-specific keywords and not AdWords? TLKT. But it, you know, TLKT goes out and goes, it accesses Google. So that's what it starts with Google, and then from there, depending on whether you go with Kraken or whatever, or I can't remember what the name of their other platform is, but it will do some natural language processing. Essentially, it finds other keywords related to the keywords you're looking for based on what's on the pages. So, but yeah, I use TLKT. That's a keyword tool I use most often now, Jay. James Bruce sounds good. Always love the comebacks. You make it so my kids can understand. Hey, thanks, James. I have to do that because that's about all I can understand. Anyway, Jay, what do you do when you come across a site that is so dated and not really primed for conversions? What do you do when you have a customer that is set on keeping their existing website? How do you position your new solution? Give us an area of thanks. Okay, so in a situation like that, that might just not be the ideal customer. If they are so set in their ways and not open to changing them, they're either already doing great, they don't need your help, or they're just, you haven't figured out what the leverage on them is yet. So if they came to you because they want SEO done, the underlying question or the underlying problem they have is they know they want more customers off the web. And if they aren't getting the customers off the web, it's because their stuff on the web's not doing what it should. And then that becomes a situation where you can position yourself as the expert and offer not only advice on SEO, but in online money getting. That includes design, that includes on-page SEO, that includes social, that includes use of videos, that includes keyword selection, it includes all those things. I really try to position myself as, this is what I do and this is what I know. That includes keywords, that includes what your website needs to look like, that includes, you know, the strategy that we want to go after for conversions. You want people to pick up the phone and call you, or you need to get on the list first, whatever it might be. So I kind of dig a little deeper, take a step down, and really try to figure out what in the world they're trying to get from you. If they want SEO, they know they need more clients, and if they need more clients, they don't have enough clients. And if they don't have enough clients, that means they have a problem. And their problem may very well be that their website's ugly and it doesn't convert at all, in addition to not being found. So I just kind of look at both of those things. All right, Michael, my experience, people convert higher for a better experience and a simple and easy way to understand a complex problem. Yeah, absolutely, Michael. That's one of the things I really try to do. I'm glad you mentioned this, because taking a complex problem and making it simple and giving a person a simple step to take to solve that problem there's conversion right there. You know, it doesn't always have to be easy, but it has to be so that they can understand it. And that's that simple. You know, simple doesn't always mean, oh, we just do this, this, and this, and there you go. But it does have to be something they understand. So, you know, again, I talk a lot about, and I myself do, I talk about it because I do it. I go back and I watch Mike's webinars because they convert incredibly well, because he is so good at understanding this. He is so good at understanding, I need to figure out what people need to see to understand how amazing this opportunity is. And then I need to take what we can do, which is quite frankly very complicated on the back end, and make it relatable and make it simple. So that's another thing I would look into as far as continuing to check on things. Awesome tips, Fletch. Thank you. Gonna have to watch replay. All right, Omar. Thanks for being on, buddy. Appreciate the questions. Brian, how much is quite a bit of traffic for keywords that shows 0? Of course, this may vary, but what's possible variance? I've got some sites that show 0 in the keyword planner that I get 300 to 400 people a month on, Brian. So, that does not seem like anything in the affiliate world, but in local client consulting, local business stuff, that's the difference between having a business that feels like it's going really well and one that you can't even keep your lights on for. So there's a lot of potential there. Google on local, especially on local, if you put local modifiers on them, the keyword planner tool is very, very unreliable. Gives you some ideas, but just use it for ideas. It can be 300 searches a month off. It shows 0, and you wind up getting, so 300 people, right? So 300 people on a site tends to be quite a bit more than 300 searches, because you're not going to get 100% of the traffic. Jay, when working with a startup company, how do you determine if the economics are there to support you? Do you find that some startups, it's hard to pinpoint their financial strength? Are these low revenue producing prospects in comparison to more established businesses that have revenues? No, not really, Jay. So when I'm talking about startups, I'm not talking about the whole Inc. magazine, Fortune 500 startups. I'm talking about somebody who has started a local tire shop or something like that. They're not corporate. They don't have the marketing materials that come with that and all the regulations and things like that. That's another thing I tend to kind of stay away from. I tend to work with independents that are funded. And I say that. It's like, I'd love to work with you and help you, but we've got to figure out some things to start with, which is, if I put this work in, this is my time, and I usually explain to them, kind of what I, being a one-man operation, I kind of put them in a position where they almost feel like they owe it to me to disclose whether or not, an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month in marketing is like going to make them like, oh crap, now what do we do? If we don't have $2,000 a month, now we can't, operate, or we can't hire the salespeople we need, or something like that. I don't work with people that can't pay. I'd love to, but that becomes charity. That's not business. And I do charity work, but I make it charity work, and it's for people I know or people that, for whatever reason, I'm in a position to be able to help, but I don't approach it as business. And so this is for you, Jay. It's a lesson I had to learn in business previous to this. Separate those two, because honestly, most people in OMG are great and they want to help a ton of people, but you have to be able to make money. And so just truly separate the two. If you want to do charity work, do it, but make sure that you do enough business to support that charity work. And you can do charity work as SEO. You can do whatever you want there. So just dig in and just say, hey, this is what the situation is, and kind of put it out there. You'll get a feel too in talking to people if they're really trying to sell you on themselves. It may not be the best situation because they feel like they don't. They're trying to talk somebody into working with them. There's probably something lacking in what they're doing. So depending on how hard they're trying to sell you on, being their SEO company or online marketing company, that's something that might give you some indications that you want to dig a little deeper. All right, Jay talking about great point. Michael, awesome. Ted Fletch, can you recommend a book on sales and salesmanship? Yeah, The one that I think I got the most out of, Ted, is called, let me find the exact title. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now to look for it. I may have lent it out. I'll do a quick search over here real quick. Oh, it's called The Ultimate Sales Machine, Ted. It's by a guy named Chet Holmes. It is really a kind of one-stop shop when it comes to selling or influence. And you know, he doesn't pull many punches as far as, oh well, if you say this is, you know, feels better if we talk about influence or whatever. It's sales. It's sales. Just leave it as sales. It's got a bunch of great content on. You can go to Amazon and check it out. I'm sure you will. Probably a bunch of people will. Probably put an affiliate link in there and make a little money on it. But the thing I really liked about the book is the sections it had on B2B sales and getting past gatekeepers and talking to decision makers. It has everything. It has really how to craft your sales message, how to choose your sales force, how to train your sales force, but then also that section I talked about with what we do here at OMG, the section on B2B, getting past gatekeepers, talking to decision makers, and making sure that you walk out of a meeting with a decision maker with a result that you went in to get. Even if it's a no, continuing to be strung along doesn't work with small business. You know, we just don't have enough time or resources as one-man operations, or even, you know, a few people, to have to continue to make follow-ups. So making sure you get that result efficiently, that book is, I would recommend very, very highly for all of those things. So great question, Ted. I'm glad you brought that up. Jay Fletch, great example using Mike's Webby and understanding the motivations of your target audience. Yeah, Jay. In a bigger sense, when I look at things along those lines, like, oh, how do I want to figure out? I'll go back to influence, right? How do I know the best way to be influenced on a webinar? I'll jump on 10 webinars and see which one makes me want to buy afterwards. You know, and then I'll record them all and go back and watch the one that I wanted to buy after and figure out why. Take it apart, put a formula to it. It's not something I could have done well at all when I first started this, but now just kind of being in online marketing world as long as I have, and being in the position I've been in with, you know, actually being able to be on webinars as well as being a member on, you know, watching and you know, eventually being, you know, pitched on something, it's helped me see a lot of the way the messages are crafted and a lot of the mindset that goes into it, a lot of the energy that needs to go into it, things like that. So yeah, I kind of start with myself, because, you know, selling or influencing or you know, relating to people that are like me is usually easiest for me. Same way with you. That's another reason I think that I found as much success as I have, and some of our other members that way too, with, okay, now I've got this amazing skill, let me go back to the people I already know have a problem that this can solve, because I can talk to them, I can talk their language, I understand their pains, I understand what they want, and that's what I'm going to start with. So that's another thing I would do to up your, you know, potential conversion percentage or click-through rate or whatever it might be, is to work with people that you understand. And if you don't understand them, spend time understanding them, figuring out who they are, go into the forums. Again, we've got several people on today that I you know, have not been on a lot of my webinars, so I'm kind of recapping some of the things that I've covered. But I've actually got about 24 videos on my YouTube channel from a kind of a coaching group, training group kind of thing that I did last year, and there are a lot of those videos that that really talk about what you need to do to understand your potential client, and figuring out who they are, what they care about, what they're afraid of, why they're online searching for a problem, a solution to a problem. So all those things kind of come into play in that regard, Jay. All right, James Bruce, for videos, do you try different styles often, such as whiteboard, picture-in-picture, or hired videos? Yes, James, I do. You know what, guys? You may not realize. I hope you don't. I'm going to check real quick. My Firefox browser, which is what I'm using to keep track of, seems to have frozen, but I'm broadcasting through Safari, so I can still see my audio level working fine on Safari. So let me click around here real quick and make sure that we're still broadcasting fine, but I'm going to have to just do a quick little refresh here, which isn't a big deal at all. I just want to make sure that I keep it going to make sure that I am oops. This will take about 15 seconds here, so here's that. Okay, so that sounds good. All right, I'm going to kill Firefox here real quick. Let me go here. You're going to have to look at my beautiful face for a second while I refresh my Firefox so we keep track of it. Where are you? There we go. Firefox dead. Quit. Alright. Relaunch it. Restore. That's beautiful. See, right. 7878. Okay, yeah, so we're good. I'll do a screen share back over there. Should be in shape. All right, so that should be good. Let me see where we left off. Okay, I think we were talking about, yeah, question here from James. For videos, try different styles, often whiteboard, picture-in-picture, hired videos. I have not had a lot of luck with hired videos. Maybe because I haven't really spent that much time trying to find a great provider for them. All the videos that I've done that I've had a lot of success with, I've actually done myself. So I do, me in front of a camera talking. The videos that I have on my YouTube channel are a pretty decent example of those. I've got a couple of whiteboard, kind of the doodle videos where the hand draws pictures or words or whatever. I've got kind of scrolling PowerPoint style presentations and videos, which means I've got a PowerPoint presentation that has just words on it that I click through and essentially just kind of read. I don't know if anybody knows like Ryan Dice's videos. He does a lot of videos like that. I've tried those and they've worked in a lot of cases. The picture-in-picture I use a lot of times if I'm doing instructionals. I don't use them much for marketing, James. I think that the little face down in the bottom kind of detracts from really getting the point across. If you're going to be there, be there and write on a whiteboard or do a kind of a side-by-side with a bigger picture of your face and the information you want to present on the other side, something like that. putting your face in front of a camera is, I've found, for local especially, the highest converting videos. There's just kind of a trust factor there. It's like, oh, hey, this guy's talking to me, and I can see he's actually looking me in the eye, and he's not like a real slick salesman. He's actually just using kind of common language. Yeah, I'm going to give these guys a call, or I'm going to click on the link he asked me to click on, and see what this is about. So my most success has been found with just me kind of in front of a camera on those gyms. But the doodle and the whiteboard scribble videos and stuff, I do use, I continue to use, and I don't see those going away. All right, Jay, do you base your pricing around their size and economics? No, not usually, Jay. Because I find it harder to justify. Even if they never asked me, I try to set myself up for success before. It's kind of like that win and then attack. I go through every potential scenario that I can come up with. Again, this kind of comes from that book I was talking about, Ultimate Sales Machine. You know, you go through every scenario. This is in your rehearsing what the sales call is going to be like. What if they ask you this? You know, what if they ask you, what's that price based on? Are you going to stumble, and are they going to be able to see through that stumble? Or are you able to just maybe stumble, but it just be because, oh, I stumbled? People pick up a lot of nonverbal communication, you know, what your body language is saying, what your eyes are saying, all that kind of thing. And so what I really try to do is say, you know, if the call goes this way, if the meeting goes this way, I want to put myself in a position for success. And if it's not going to be a meeting that I can get a yes out of, at least I know that I haven't misrepresented myself in any way. So I tend to base my pricing on other factors than their ability to pay, unless it's, again, one of those kind of charity things. So, you know, then that comes down to just saying, hey, I want to help you out. I'm just going to do this. Otherwise, I base it on what it costs me to do it, or what the market says it's worth, or what it's worth to them, meaning how many customers of a certain value am I going to bring them in a given month. So those are the three things I typically build my pricing around. Number of customers at whatever their customer value is, what the market bears, really kind of what the other competition charges. I don't do that much, but that's a little bit of that is getting into what pay-per-click costs are. So that's something that does come into play for some of my pricing. And then the third one would be, what does this cost me to do? And I need to make sure I get a substantial margin in addition to that for all of my overhead and profit and whatever else you want to get worked in there. So those are the three pricing models that I use currently, Jay. All right, Dan, we can still, oh yeah, that was back on when I had my my hang up on Firefox. Cool. Luke B. Fletch, what tech did you use to film your SEO velocity video? Tripod, camera, or something else? Yeah, Luke, I can definitely tell you. So, actually, I'll tell you and show you. I'm going to click back over. Hopefully this doesn't hang up my Firefox again. So, yeah, we're back here now. So I've got, see this great big light here? It's on a tripod. I've got two of those. I've got one there. I've got one over there that's actually faced the other way. Those are the lights I use. Your lights are going to be one of the biggest factors in how the video turns out. Actually, I'm plugging my computer here real quick, so I'll pop that back in. So I'll, if you want to hit me up with an email, I'll tell you specifics on that. Those are just two lights. They've got CFL bulbs in them. They cost like $60. That's the tripod I use. I have my iPhone. I've got an iPhone 5S. That's the video that I used for it all. And then a couple different mics. The one I used for Just gonna see if I have it laying around. I think I've got it packed up in my camera case. The mic I used for that is just a lavalier mic, so it plugs in here. It runs through the cable, and then there's a little thing called an iRig that you plug it into, and then that plugs into your actual iPhone, so that all your audio and video recording are on the same device on your iPhone. It lets you adjust levels so that you don't peak out your audio, and you can kind of play with it and adjust it. And then once it's all recorded, I drop that into either ScreenFlow or Camtasia. They're both great editors. They're simple to work with. And then from there, trim down what you want, get all that right, add your B-roll, add your background music. That escape velocity video I shot in probably 2 hours, give or take, and it took me maybe another hour and a half to do the editing on it. So all told, it was about 3 hours worth of work, give or take. It seemed like it took forever and frustrating and all kind of things, but end of the day, I got I think a great video that's me, that's genuine, that I just, you continue to get better. So that was one I did about, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months ago now. So, but yeah, I'm gonna, I'll hit me up on email, or I'll put something together specifically on that. Actually, you know what I'll do too, Luke? You can hit me up on email. I'll share the information, but I'm gonna do a video on the stuff I use for those videos, because I've had a lot of questions. Clint Dixon actually just did a video. He was asking me about some of the equipment, so I'm more than happy to share that stuff with you guys. It works out real well. So, and thank you for the compliment there, Luke. Jim, have to run. Fletch, have a good one. Chat soon. Great job today. Thank you. Jim, thank you very much, sir, for all you do. Contribution to OMG and for being on today. Thanks again. All right, where are we here? About an hour 15 in. Okay, so what I typically do about this time is just getting last minute questions in. And we kind of go from there, because there's a little bit of lag time in the broadcast, just the nature of Google Hangouts. But if there are any questions, I want to get to them while we're live and in person kind of here. We are not hard and fast on the hour and a half. We go over sometimes we wrap up earlier. So it just kind of depends on the group and the questions and kind of where the energy is and all that kind of thing. Oh yeah, Luke. Yeah, Clinton. I think he did a great job. I noticed the similarities, and that's totally fine. I love the fact that he used mine as a model for putting this together. I think his will definitely attract the right kind of people. For him to work with, and for him to really be able to kind of introduce himself to folks. A local client consulting. Clinton's outside of Calgary, I think. Pretty sure he is, which is a sizable city, but. At the end of the day, the people that we work with professionally, more often than not, we spend a lot of time with them. We interact with them in meaningful ways. We affect their family and their close friends, and they vice versa do the same for us. So I tend to try to pick the people I work with that I have as clients or that I use as a service provider pretty carefully, just because it has a pretty big bearing on quality of life and really the community that you're helping to build. So I pay attention to that stuff. All right, Evan, trying to rank a client's TripAdvisor.com page. Ooh, that's a new one. I haven't had that. Okay. Not sure the best way to approach it. Fiverr gigs, any new info on ranking high DA domains? Thanks. So that is, well, I'm sure it's high domain authority. I'm not even going to look, but yeah, so we can send much lower quality links to high domain authority pages to get them ranked, right? The domain authority of the site lets us do things, that are more aggressive, meaning the velocity and the rate and the sheer magnitude of links that we can send to pages, much greater on a high domain authority page that we're trying to rank. So we can use GSA, we can use Magic Submitter, we can use Fiverr we can use all those kinds of things to rank those pages. But we can also use our PBNs. So you can use PBNs to rank YouTube videos. You can use PBNs to rank Facebook pages. You can use PBNs to rank TripAdvisor. I've never ranked TripAdvisor. The thing I would have a look at, Evan, and this comes in from, Jimmy, I don't think I'm overstepping anything. Make sure that Google is willing to rank the TripAdvisor page for the keyword that you want to go after. That's something that a lot of people have missed. And for whatever reason, Google has filters that say, okay, so like the gutter, rain gutter installation. Maybe Google does not feel that a Pinterest page, regardless of the domain authority, is the right fit for that query. And if you search for, whatever search query you're going after, and the first 10 pages of Google results do not show any TripAdvisor, I would pick a different keyword. I would pick a keyword that Google has shown they're fine ranking a TripAdvisor page for. Other than that, you're fine using GSA or Fiverr Gigs or your PBN or whatever you want to use. But if you don't take the steps at the beginning, that whole win first thing, set yourself up to win. Make sure that Google's fine ranking the platform that you want to go after before you put the work in trying to rank it for a keyword that Google may just say, I don't care how many links it has or whatever. That's not a platform that we want to show for a solution to this query. So, other than that, though, I think you're in good shape with using Fiverr Gigs or whatever it might be, because it's going to just come down to links. But again, kind of going back to, got to be patient. It's just taking longer for those links to kick in right now. All right, Mary, any way to get a client's Yelp listing ranked if they have fewer reviews than their competitors that are ranking? I've sent GSA to the listing, no movement. Fewer reviews is going to, okay, so what they may be in a situation with, Mary, is that they're, well, no, that you may have to wait for a cycle to run and see what the page authority of that page is, because those reviews work a couple different ways, and I know kind of where you are with your understanding of a bunch of different stuff, network empire stuff, and domain authority stacking and all that kind of thing. Their page authority may actually be higher because of those reviews, and you may be kind of fighting an uphill battle on that front. Even with the links that you're sending from GSA, they may not be carrying enough weight to bump that page authority up high enough for Google to acknowledge that that's the Yelp page they want to rank. So I know a lot of those big directory review sites like Yelp or Angie's List really doesn't rank that much because it's a paid membership site, but things like Yelp meaning being the primary one that comes to mind, you really got to look at what's ranking and why, and many times it looks like it's reviews that is getting those pages ranked, but more often than not it comes down to those reviews are actually feeding it something else, and that something else typically comes down to page authority. So have a look at that, and it may be a situation where you just need some more links or some better links, and possibly, because of the way those reviews work, I don't know specifically, I haven't looked on Yelp for a while as far as how those links work from the reviews and things, what that's doing to feed that page and give it weight and authority and trust. Yeah, other than that, Yelp's kind of an interesting little thing. I'll come back to Yelp. I've got some experiences with Yelp that I'll share in a second. Jay, I ask this: do you base your pricing around their size and economics? Because startups, depending on the economics, tend to be on the low end of the spectrum in terms of marketing budget. Um, well, you may be right in the industries that you're familiar with, Jay. The ones that I specifically target are not that way. Um, I'm very open and sharing with a lot of things, and you guys know the industry I work in, but some of the specifics that I work with are they're marketing and sales companies. They're not construction companies. They do construction work, but they're smart enough and savvy enough to know what they are, what their strengths are, and I provide a service to them that they can't get anywhere else. So I very much target companies that understand the value of marketing and are willing to spend money on it. Now they are in startup. They don't have established web presence. They don't have a bunch of bad reviews. They don't have an uphill battle to climb with people knowing that their name is associated with shoddy craftsmanship or whatever it might be that you have to work with if you've got an established company that's got a bunch of bad Yelp reviews or Angie's List reviews or whatever it might be. But I specifically target companies that are very well aware of the power marketing has to carry a company. So I'm not saying that's the case across the board. I assume it's not, but the companies I go after, it is. So, okay, and then follow up from Jay. Would you agree with the statement? Oh, so I guess I kind of answered that already. Have you run into a situation where you prospected a prospect and they didn't have the budget to match the pricing? I think you mentioned that you go to AdWords and look at the pricing for what people are paying in the market to capture a customer. Yeah, I do, Jay. And there's times that that's a situation, but more often than not, they just get into a situation saying, I can't afford to buy the entire market. I can't afford to pay for more than 5 leads at a time. Okay, cool. Let's send you 5 leads. Let's send you $350 worth of leads and see if you can turn that into a profit. And with the business model that I've built on pay-per-lead, it's very easy to do that. So that's another reason that I'm very comfortable with and happy with the direction I've taken when I do, because customer value is customer value. If you're in a business where your customer value is $40 or $50, I'm probably not going to be marketing to you in the first place. My average customer value is somewhere between $5,000 and $20,000 for the customers I go after. So is every one of them worth $70? Potential customer coming in the door? Absolutely. Now, as a company, maybe they can't pay for more than 5 at a time. But then again, I've got the pay-per-lead structure, so I can just send them 5. Let them turn a profit on that. If they don't want to auto bill, totally cool. Get your client cycle done, make your profit, come back to me when you can afford to buy 10, and we can go from there. Not a big deal. So again, I spent a lot of time, 18 months, the last 18 months building the business, and it was based on a lot of these questions. These are not bad questions; these are great questions. I have considered them, and I've gone through them, kind of, Jay. So I'm just trying to give you my my full experience and really the reason I made the decisions I've made. Okay, so if you're doing that prior to engaging a startup and learn firsthand that there is money in that market, and that in order for the startup to be competitive, they would need to have the budget and resources to compete. Yeah, so I kind of answered that already a little bit, Jay. In order to be competitive, you need customers, and you need to be able to fulfill. That's really it. Main market. If you got new customers coming in, and you can meet your customers' needs, you can be competitive. Now, if you can't handle 1,000 customers a week, no big deal. We can scale. But if you can, I'm more than happy to send them your way. So that really becomes an issue of scale more than price per customer. Price per customer I tend not to fluctuate as much on as my ability to send them a few leads and let them work with those. So I more often scale the number of leads than I do scale my price or adjust my price. So it would come down to what is the probability for this startup to have the resources based on the data, which would support you doing the market going into a market prospect, I'm sure the likelihood would be much higher that if they have the resources, right? Yeah, kind of. I got to that, Jay. And these are good questions to ask yourself. Um, it's hard to give you a definitive answer without specifics, and I'm fine. I try not to tell people to share a lot of their niche or their target market that they're going into. So I can't get any more specific on your situation. Different niches and different markets will all bear different situations, different companies, different founders, different financial situations. Those all come into play. And every person I talk to is not. I am not trying to pretend that you can go into every situation and close them, but you can be very, very tactical and strategic on making your sales calls, giving yourself the highest probability to come away with that with a yes, by being able to scale the amount of work you do for them and in understanding the value of their customer. Regardless of whether they can pay you or not, they need customers and they have to buy them one way or another, whether they're buying them from you or buying them from Yellow Pages or buying them by acquiring a door knocker that's going to go out there and try to drum up business. They have to pay for that. It's a cost of doing business. Understand that the cost of doing business is something that you can adjust for them to get your foot in the door if you want to. You don't have to. So that's the way I would kind of look at that. All righty. James Bruce, what is one of the quicker ways to boost traffic for a local client, if any? I've seen a lot of boosts in traffic, James, with vCracken. sounds a little crazy, but those, for whatever reason, local sites just don't do much with content. Even if they rank for 1 or 2 keywords, they don't rank for 50. And I've got sites with really only a few pages of content that I wrote, and I'll put vCracken on the thing and have it put part of my blog, and I'll get a bunch of people on my website. And the videos that get there, they get people's attention. They're on the site, and they're like, well, what else does this guy sell? Oh, right here, he installs my rain gutters. Let me click on this page. That page is the one that's meant to convert. So I'll actually build a lot of content on my page that's just meant to attract attention. I use vCracken for that. It's easy to set up, works great, builds up my domain authority over time, and it gets me ranked for keywords I have no idea about. But I'll see triple the traffic on some of the low traffic sites I build after installing vCracken. It's a great way to get low traffic sites more traffic. A lot of traffic doesn't convert, but that's the great thing about a website. You don't have to sit there and talk to every customer that comes in the door. If the customer's right for you, they can find your information and make a simple choice to move forward with you. Awesome. If they landed on your page totally by accident, let them watch a little bit of a video, maybe click over to another video, spend some time on your site, help out your Google Analytics, and then they take off and go find something that's more appropriate for them. So check out vCracken, put that on a blog on your site, and make that work, James. Jay, what are the average revenues that your startups usually work with? Do you use this as a benchmark to determine it all? If you'd work with them in addition to any other metrics you may use, do you pull any census data to determine size of a niche? No, Jay. I work with niches that I know. I'm almost 40. I've been doing construction work for most of my life, but I haven't been a construction worker most of my life. I have 2 postgraduate programs that I've completed, didn't get degrees from because I dropped out. I've had a software company. I was a software designer. I don't do any coding, but I knew how to solve people's problems, and I knew that solving them with software was an easy way to scale myself. I do some work with that. I used to be a fishing guide. I've been in law enforcement as a park ranger. I work with niches and people that I understand. So there are certain experiences that we all have in our life that help us see where the money is. You know, follow the money is a very popular expression. Very few people actually do it. You know, you look at where people that have money spend money. What do they spend money on? You know, luxury goods, vacations, homes, home improvements, cars, things like that. Plastic surgery. Do they have legal problems? Yeah. These are the niches that we tend to gravitate toward, and that's the reason why. Doesn't mean that people without money don't need just as much service, and helping them get to wherever they need to be is something I'd love to try to do. But I can't help somebody else until I am able to take care of myself. So I don't use census data. I don't use, you know, I don't justify my decisions with other people's ability to observe phenomenon that I have as much or more experience with than they do. So that's what I tend to use. The companies I work with are typically somewhere between $2 and $10 million per year in revenue, gross revenue, and yeah, that's about it. You know, talking about census data, that's software company I used actually. It was a geographic information system. So we actually compiled and built Tiger data. I actually built some of the software that handles that stuff. It's not that it's unreliable. It's just not something I would ever base a business decision off of. I used to do site selection for large corporations for their placement, and Tiger data, census data, is very, very unreliable. There are a lot of things that are better indicators for profit than census data would be. Jay, great point, Fletch. Absolutely makes some sense. Target companies that understand the power of marketing. Thanks. Absolutely, buddy. These are great questions, Jay. I actually, the dialogue that you've opened up here is invaluable. This is a replay that will definitely get a lot of traffic, so I appreciate all the work on the questions. Yeah, that's why the pay-per-lead is a powerful model, because you can segment out a certain amount, prospect based on the value of the lead, and try to work with the budget as opposed to a standard SEO approach. Yeah, because with standard SEO, you kind of, if you do get into a situation where it's like, man, I really want to work with this company, but they can't pay what I need them to pay, you either have to discount yourself or try to figure out some weird, you know, well, not weird, but inventive pricing model that lets it go forward. But here's the thing, and this is something I'm going to talk more about in the videos that are coming out with the paper lead that I'm compiling still and putting together and recording more to keep growing. Just because you start with paper lead doesn't mean you can't grow into monthly SEO. I've opened up several of my best monthly SEO clients with, you know, $500 worth of leads they bought me. And we keep selling them good leads, and they're like, what are you doing to generate these? Can you get more? Like, what else? How can we pay you more money so that we get more great leads out of you? And you can just stick with the leads, or you can say, hey, really, I generate all this with SEO. You know, I can work with you on the SEO front too. It's a different facet of what we do. What you can get into, though, is a situation where you want to make sure that you aren't undermining your own value by either giving them the paper leads or the SEO monthly at a more affordable, or discounted rate than the other. So I have companies that pay me for monthly SEO as well as buy leads from me, and you can do both of those. That paper lead model is just, it opens doors all over the place. Sometimes people contact me for SEO and they realize that they can just buy leads from me, and they just go that way, and then 6 months later they're like, well, can we do SEO too? You know, just, it all works together. So, you know, SEO is the tool. We can make money with it in a bunch of different ways. So just be inventive. All right, Jay, Fletch, like your style. You still make it somewhat manageable for them to work with you without price becoming so much of an issue. Yeah, because, you know, we all get vibes from people. You know, when we meet with folks, sometimes it's like, yeah, this is the right person to work with, and sometimes like, you know, I try to make it so that I can work with folks that I want to work with. Mary, back to Yelp. Competitor sites are PA of 1, client sites PA of 53. It must be reviews. Yeah, yeah. So those reviews are going to be more on-page content. Um, yeah, because what I'm trying to think of, Mary, is the just because Yelp says it's important, right? Are you talking about ranking in Yelp, or are you talking about ranking in Google? Are you talking about ranking a Yelp page in Google, or are you talking about ranking a Yelp page in the Yelp search? Those are two very different things. Um, you know that. But yeah, it's possible. See, here's the other thing. It comes down to your on page, right? So the reason a lot of my sites rank is because I actually build pages or entire sites potentially around a keyword I want to rank for. If your competitors' Yelp pages on page stuff is more dialed than yours for the keyword you want to go after, if by chance their business name is the keyword, or if they're a lawn service company and you're trying to rank for lawn service, and you're trying to rank Grass Solutions LLC, and they're actually named Phoenix Lawn Care, and you're trying to rank for lawn care, they're actually going to get, I think Yelp, let me click over and check real quick here. So I'm just going to click here, and then I'm going to check out, lawn yard care. So one of the biggest things, I don't care what your PA is, if you've got the search phrase in the URL string, you are going to pull a lot of weight. And then beyond that, if you've got it in your title tags, you're going to, or an LSI variation of thereof in your title tags, you're going to just continue to pull more and more weight. So if you're working with a business name that doesn't have those factors in place, you may have to figure out the best way to get that addressed. Because again, you might just be kind of playing on an uneven field. Boosting PA and things like that. If you're trying to rank for yard care, this company's got it right here in the URL string on their business page. And if your company is something that does not have yard care in the URL string, even if you have more links and things like that, you're going to have a harder time with that. So I typed in lawn care. This is lawn and yard care, right? So let's go back. This is just a PA1. Let's see if we can go and do a little kind of reverse engineering here to see what we've got. It's also PA1. But see, landscaping Phoenix doesn't have any search terms in the phrase, or in the URL string. See, it's landscaping. Also PA1 also does not have lawn care in the, but see, this one does have, yeah. So, Phoenix, it's got the local modifier in there. The green goat, so that doesn't have any of them in there. Also PA1. So anyway, that's something I'd have a look at too, Mary. See if that's anything in there. Yeah, competitor site PA of 1, client's PA 53, must be reviews. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not the reviews, but if you're trying to rank in Google, unless those reviews just give you enough. So this has got 20, look, so 25 reviews, 3 reviews, and they're not even that good. Lucas Lawn and Yard Care. We've got the search phrase in the name, which winds up in the URL string. Down here, we've got 25 reviews. It's the same service area, right? But they don't have their search phrase in the URL string. So they are fighting an uphill battle, and regardless of the fact that they've got 25 reviews, like if I search for lawn care here, they may come up number 1. But if I search in Google, Google doesn't care too much about that unless there's reviews, add good on-page content, and they say, okay, that's going to be what we want to rank. More often than not, it's not the case. They're going to start here. So I'd look at that. Okay. Jay Fletch, thanks for sharing. Just like to get into the mindset without getting too much into the actual niche. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well said. Cost of doing business. What would you recommend as far as an alternative to census data? I would go on. I would get an industry publication in the industry, bigger picture industry that you want to go into, and see who is paying money to advertise in that industry. That's going to be a niche that has money to spend on advertising. Print publications, to get a full page ad, you're dropping some dollars if you've got much circulation at all. So that's one place I would go to look for money. When I say look for money, look to see where the money is, who's willing to spend it to acquire customers. You know, engineering firms, one client can be worth $4 million. You know, what's it worth to acquire a new client there? Somebody who's a startup construction company just got this monster bid, they don't have any engineering partners. So they happen to jump on Google and look for civil engineers that, you know, specialize in compaction tests for high-rise buildings in the Southwest. That may be the search phrase that you have to optimize for, right? One search per year might put $3 million worth of revenue in that engineering company's pocket. What does it take to rank for that? Nothing. But it does take some work digging around and figuring out that might be the thing that can get you that monster client. Becker actually, at OMG Live last year, shared some awesome stuff in a couple niches he works in, very much along those lines. SEO is not always about winning the most competitive game. It's about, you know, getting your clients the solutions that they need, and in so doing, fulfilling your needs as well. So a lot of times I don't want to go head to head with Greg or Jimmy or, you know, quite frankly, some of the big hitters in OMG. I'd rather dig a little more on keyword, understand the companies in the market a little better, and, you know, make a lot of money without having to do a ton of work while still providing my customer with amazing value. So that's kind of the solution I try to usually optimize for. I don't always go into high competitive niches. Even if I am in a high competitive niche, I go after more profitable keywords as opposed to maybe higher gross value keywords. You know, if you've got 10,000 searches for a certain keyword, it may not be the keyword I want to go after. Maybe I make more money on a keyword that only gets 300 searches, but has no competition and has a lot more buyer intent in those searches. So, but print publications, people buying full page ads on print publications, is a great place to look for new niches, industries, potential clients. Okay, very true about transitioning from pay-per-lead to SEO, opens new opportunities. Yep. You know, I love dialoguing with you, Fletch. Thanks, buddy. Ranking Yelp page in Google. Yeah, Mary, that's a little strange, you know, because, you know, looking at that, if you're not, you know, if you're not fighting an uphill battle on your URL string or your title tags, I would look at, those are the two things I'd look at. Go check out and see who's ranking better. So, like, if we go back here, we take Yelp out, right? Because that just forced the hand. So Yelp comes up second anyway. Mow and clip lawn care. So we've got lawn care, search phrase. They've got 3 reviews, which we already saw there's somebody in this industry that's going after lawn care. It's got 25 reviews. Let's see if they show up at all. Sergio's, another one. They've got 11 reviews. That's another Yelp. I was just going to see if there's anybody else on here. It's interesting I'm noticing here. So check this out, Mary. On this search phrase I just did, this is something I don't have specific experience. So I'm just kind of, okay, let me see what's going on. Let me figure out why this is working this way. So we got lawn care Phoenix, right? We've got Mow and Clip Lawn Care in Yelp. We've got Sergio's Lawn Services in Yelp. Look what else down here is also on the first page. Sergio's Lawn Services, their regular website, and Lucas Lawn and Yard, their actual website. So Google may be beginning to treat Yelp more like they treat their 7-pack, meaning that you've got to have your citations in place, and you've also got to have a pretty strong website to get your 7-pack listing to show up. So if you're not fighting an uphill battle, Mary, on your URL string, you may need to, I just got an email from somebody. Let me check this out. Hang on, I've got to type a message real quick, guys. Then I'll come back over. All right. So anyway, oh, that's the wrong. Oh no, I lost what my browser was. There's the one. So you may be getting into a situation where Google is treating Yelp more like the 7-pack, meaning that more factors come into play than just links. The 7-pack, you've got several things. You've got combination of needing a strong website. You've got your citations, your NAP, name, address, phone number placement. That might be a place you want to start, because that's pretty cheap and easy to get out there, Mary. Getting name, address, phone number, citations around the internet that match up with the exact, way that the, right here is going to be the NAP for Yelp. Getting that citation placed a lot throughout the internet may be a situation. I'm going to do a funky little search here, see what comes up. It's probably going to give me a name. Yeah, so for that search phrase, we're getting quite a few results. 3 results. Well, that's because that's a formatting thing. So yeah, I'd start with NAP, Mary, on that. Okay. URLs EMD too. Yeah, I'd look at NAP, name, address, phone number on that, Mary. See if that gives you some better indications. That you're going to have to type in. I don't know the exact modifier you're going to have to use for multi-line searches to see how many times their citation pulls up, but you can dig around a little bit. I'm sure there's somebody that I would do a search for, like P citations. Some trading furniture. I don't know, maybe this will pull something up. Yeah, that's Moz. Place a citation, and those are going to be generic. Go back. Oops. Yeah, I'd poke around a little bit. Replace a citation. Pulling citations. Yeah, that might be a solution for you. Yeah, Yext is a service that does citation building for you. I heard a couple people that had used Yext. They may have changed, but if you use Yext, you want to kind of look at their terms of service. The citations they build, they actually own. The last time I checked. So if you do not continue to pay them past the first year, which is about $500 to do a citation build through Yext, If you don't pay them, they will get rid of your citations. So it's kind of like an ongoing fee. Don't look at Yext as a one-time setup. It's something that will be a $500 per year subscription, which is fine. Just it's a different pricing model. So pay attention to that if you guys decide to use them. All right, Jay, you mentioned using, or you're not using CallFire. Who are you using now? I still use CallFire, Jay. For moving forward, most of the clients I take on, I am putting on the ACT platform, analytic call tracking. They're based on a call forwarding platform called Twilio. ACT is a software actually that you buy. You download it, you install it on one of your servers. So what you typically will do is install analytic call tracking on one of your subdomains, on one of your websites. Like I've actually got my analytic call tracking installed on this JoshuaFletcher.com. So I've got a dashboard on one of my subdomains on this JoshuaFletcher.com where I log in and I set all my stuff up there. So all of my database functions, my invoicing, all that kind of stuff is run and triggered off of a server. So it's able to do a whole bunch more. I have a lot more access to it and control of it than I do with CallFire, which is set up on a server, but it's set up on their server. They have all this access to it. ACT is a software I buy. I have control of it because it's on my server. So there's more costs involved. Software costs some money. You've got to have your server involved, so it's going to eat up some of your system resources. Yeah, that's what I'm using now. All right, yeah. Oh, so Eric's on. That's glad. Sorry to interrupt with email lead starter. Only have one lead gen site started in tree service removal, small city. Taking a while to get off of page 2. Are you using any SEO tricks besides what's in Project X? Not too much, Eric. I do employ a couple things that Network Empire does, but they're honestly totally in line with what we do, and they're in the only things that I do really with them is stuff that they've shared with us in the PBN Reloaded. So yeah, Project X is more than enough to get your site to #1 in pretty much any niche that you need. There is a lot more time factor involved now than there used to be. With a new site that I'm setting up, if there's a main keyword, like if I'm going after tree removal in whatever city it might be, and that's the main keyword I want to go after, I'm typically looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks to get my, when I consider myself ranking them in the top 3. First page is great, whatever, but for local stuff, top 3 is about all I consider as a, like, okay, now it's working. And that's usually about 6 to 8 weeks. There are things you can do to speed it up, but there are things that are going to potentially jeopardize you long term. And we don't teach those just because they're not in line with people's long-term success. You can blast GSA to a website. You get a bunch of links, and you're going to get Google to notice you. And 2 weeks from now, if you rank at all, your site will be de-indexed and gone. So it's just not a great solution for that. SEO this is a strategy that is long-term, but it's only going to be long-term and profitable if you follow the right steps. So yeah, the stuff that we teach, using your PBN wisely, spacing your links, tracking what movement you get out of the links that you do place, so you can keep track of where your power comes in your PBNs, how many links that you use on a site so you don't waste links on things you don't necessarily need is important as well. And the only way to get that feedback is to be patient and to place links at a reasonable rate so that you can actually see what effect they have on your website. Outside of direct PBN links, I use YouTube extensively. The no-follow links from YouTube, I think, carry a lot of power and trust, especially when they're related to your website, even if they're not connected to it, meaning they're not a YouTube channel that's associated with a specific website. If they point to a website and several of your channel links go to a website, you're in good shape. Other high domain authority social platforms, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, those are all things you can attach and point toward your website to get more trust, authority, and connection. Google's continuing to move more and more toward transparency and looking for real people and real businesses that do the work, as opposed to, you know, affiliates or people that are trying to do promotion for promotion's sake, I guess you could say. And so the more factors you can show Google that you are legitimately in this for the customer and you have the customer's best interest in mind, the better off you're going to be. So I tend to try to set up as many of those social platforms and other types of links, and really building my network of this is my online identity as much as possible. So all those things come into play. Yeah, mostly PBNs for ranking. And all right, Luke, practical question on PBNs. If tracking the power of links and the time lags 4 to 6 weeks see an impact, are we only adding new PBN links every 4 to 6 weeks? We see them. Great question, Luke. And that does kind of create a situation where it's like, no, we don't. Ideally, yeah, but I know of no one who has that much patience, or quite frankly, that much time. You know, the resources we're sitting on as a PBN are a cost. You know, we bought them, we host them, and we need to get the most value out of them. So we kind of have to find that sweet spot of either using maybe too many links or sitting on a resource that we're not getting the most out of. That sweet spot, I usually tend to focus on more links than I need, but making the most out of the PBNs. So yeah, I build links depending on what the site is, you know, 1 or 2 a week, depending on things. But yeah, I don't wait 4 to 6 weeks. Great question. The way I phrased the earlier answer, it led you to believe this, and so I'm glad you asked that question, because I don't want people to think that you can only build links every 4 to 6 weeks. That's not the case. I build it usually a couple links a week, no problem. But then once I'm starting to kind of see those movements, I may just let it sit for a month before I do anything and see where it goes. So I may build 6-8 links and then not build any links at all for 6 weeks and let it kind of do its thing and see where I wind up. All right, Mary, thanks, Fletch. There are 2 auto repair places in the same building. One's Unit D and the other's Unit A. Might be the Google's not distinguishing different address. Yeah, it's possible. Those kind of suite numbers or those sub-address, one of the things people are doing, I noticed this, somebody was posting it on Facebook or Twitter or something. Anyway, they were trying to promote a system where you could kind of game Google by just, you know, having your street address with suite A, suite B, suite C, suite D, whatever that might be. And I have a feeling that Google is discounting all of those sub-addresses unless it's a verifiable multi-unit building. And verifiable multi-unit buildings exist in that unreliable census data that I just talked about. So very easy for Google to go pull that Tiger data and figure out what multi-unit buildings are and cross-check whether or not you can have 15 different businesses in a residential address. I don't know that they do, but that would be potential. And that might be what's happening on that situation there. All right. Eric Game, cool, thanks. Yeah, man. Glad you jumped on. And no problem at all with that email. I'm glad you were able to get in. All right, guys. We are 2 hours. That's a barn burner. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I'll give it a couple minutes for that to get through on the audio feed. But super cool session today, everyone. I'm glad you were all on. I definitely got a lot out of this, and I hope that everybody here not only got a lot from me, but also out of the other questions from the group members. I definitely am appreciative of the time everybody puts into this and the effort, not only answering and helping other people out, but just being willing to ask questions. And that's really how we continue to build this amazing community, is to share and to be willing to ask questions and say, hey, I got to grow. Can somebody help me out with this? So definitely my hat's off to you all. And thanks again. We've got a situation where our schedule, let me see what I've got here for my next office hours. I always like to keep people informed as to when office hours are. My next scheduled, where are they here? Oh, yeah. My next scheduled office hour is Saturday the 26th. It'll be at noon Eastern. Noon Eastern? Yeah, noon Eastern. So that's going to be 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm in Arizona, so we're Pacific time zone this time of year. So hopefully you all can make it. Between now and then, I am available in the Facebook group. If you've got questions of a private nature, meaning that you've got niches or actual websites that you need to have checked out, I definitely don't publicize the fact that I'm available to do that. Please respect that these office hours are the best place to answer questions and ask questions. But if there's a couple things like that, I'm more than happy to help out in any way I can on that front. So from there, let me see if there's any last questions. Brian, thanks again. Thanks for being on. Luke B, thanks for your time. Lots and lots to take away. Thank you. Ted, thanks for being on, buddy. Eric, shit, man, why didn't I get on your calls before? You're a good teacher. Thanks. Greg's a genius. Yeah, but dry stills when speaking. It's good to have a bunch of different personalities in OMG. And Greg is a friggin' genius. Hopefully you all can jump into the live event, OMG Live, and get to meet Greg in person. He's just a cool guy, really low key, down to earth. But I do appreciate that compliment there, Eric. Thank you very much. James, busy session this week. Perfect question, City on a Hill. Thanks again, Fletch. See you in 2 weeks. You were on vids coming out. No, but they will be out before my next session. How's that? This change in schedule will allow me the time I need to get those put together and done the right way. That's really what we want to make sure, that when they come out, they don't confuse or add any kind of ambiguity to stuff. So that will definitely give me the time I need to make sure that happens. All right, Shane. Oh, glad you were on. Nice work. Thanks again, as always. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up now. I'll catch up with you all shortly, either in the Facebook group or the next coaching session. Take care, you all, and talk to you soon.